Welcome to How Did You Do That, the podcast where guests share the behind the scenes of their successful B2B content marketing campaigns. The path to success is rarely as smooth or straightforward as we think, and we want to hear all about it. This podcast is hosted by Isoline Communications, your local friendly tech B2B content marketing agency. So I'm Claire Trevian. I'm an AD at the agency, and I'm calling you from France, where hopefully my cat will not interrupt this conversation. And my co-host today is Dieter Demeter, who's an account manager at the agency. Dieter,
Hi everyone, I'm joining from my study/living room where me and my giant ficus Frederick are both glad to be. Frederick is very well behaved, so he will definitely not be interrupting, unlike Claire's cat.
so today our special guest is Erica Ylimäki, a growth marketer at TrustMary. She's joining us from Finland today to talk to us about how targeting low volume bottom of funnel keywords had a huge impact on TrustMary's conversions. So hi Erica, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm joining from Jyväskylä, Finland. So I'm from working at our co-working offices, and hopefully my co-workers won't interrupt us.
Let's see who's going to add some chaos to this chat.
It also sounds like we've got all of Europe covered between the three of us. I'm in London, Claire's in France, and you're in Finland, so just very international today.
I'd love to just start a little bit with you, Erica. If you could just tell us a little bit about how you got into marketing, because it's a really cool story. I'd just like you to just tell us a little bit about you and that, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure. So I actually studied to become a German and English teacher. And at the end of my studies, I was looking for a job, part-time job, and I found this cool ad for a German-speaking interviewer, and I applied, got the job. It was to do 3 interviews in Germany, which were videoed and then made into video testimonials. And I liked it. The company liked me and kept on hiring me in Finland for jobs. And then in 3 or 4 months, they actually created a job for me. So I was responsible for creating content in English, in German, finding video testimonial freelance videographers all over Europe and managing that process. And then when COVID happened, we realized that the business model, which was growing really well, we were creating great video testimonials for our customers, like their customers telling why they use a specific service or a specific company. And then when COVID happened, we realized that it's not a great business model because it doesn't really scale that well because people are doing the work. So then we realized that we need to digitize this whole process. And then we created a software that helps people collect reviews and testimonials and then add them to their website, to their social media. And customers still can collect video testimonials, but as you know, in B2B, it's not that easy to get people to film themselves, but in the business to consumers, it still works. So yeah, it is a feature that we still offer, but it's like just the feature and not the whole business. And then I started when we transferred from the project business to SaaS, software as a service. I started writing content. And then within a couple of months, I was in charge of the whole content production. So I was doing the keyword research. I had never done that before, but I learned while doing it. And then created content, and we had some freelancers that I was guiding on what to do. And then we hired an in-house person to work with me and create content. And then at some point last year, we both became growth marketers because we are actually doing so much more than just writing content. So we take part in every aspect of marketing and customer communication that we do. So that was a long story, but
No, that's super helpful. No, you've really, I think, anticipated our next question, which was going to be for you to tell us a little bit about Trust Mary, because it sounds like that's where the bulk of your experience has been, and by the sounds of it, you've taken the business through a lot of iterations of what it looked like. So yeah, tell us a bit more about how it's changed and where you are now versus where you started.
Well, the change from a project business to being a software house, it was relatively easy. I don't know. It just like we were told that okay, this is actually not working anymore. We can't just be doing this. It's working great, but this won't be our core business anymore. So
Pivot.
now we're gonna switch the mindset to being a tech company, a marketing technology company, and it's been a crazy ride. I've had 2 kids during it, but I've loved the process so much that I've kept on working, and I've loved coming back. But it's weird when you have a kid, and we have paid maternity leave here in Finland, and when you come back, it's basically a different company when you come back.
It's not where I left
Because
it. Where are they now?
yeah, no, like things change so much, and that's one of the main reasons why I've actually stayed at the company, because I'm learning so much every day, and there is no one more experienced to ask from. Like it has to be out-house then, because in-house experience, we are all learning while doing. We do use sometimes consultants and ask for help and whatnot, but all of the experience actually comes from doing stuff. So it's really great. We actually have like a really, really low hierarchy. We have over 20 employees, and our CEO is the supervisor to everyone. So we don't have like a manager or that sort of level, but everyone is like at the same level. And then there's the CEO who is like kind of higher up. But
So like a super flat structure where you, like you said, you kind of
yeah,
have to be a jack of all trades
yeah,
across your marketing
yeah,
organization, right?
yeah.
Yeah, we try to be a bit similar as well at Isoline. Everybody gets involved. So it's a nice, you learn a lot. But did you ever imagine when you were like studying to become like an English and German teacher that you would be doing this kind of role? Or like,
No, and it was all an accident that I just ended up here, and I've ended up actually loving it. I've, I've always loved to write, but it's been more of a hobby. I've had some diaries, and in my English studies, I needed to. I took part in some creative writing courses, and I loved them. They were great. It was super. But I never thought that that could actually be like a job. And now I'm writing every single day. I'm responsible for the long form, and my colleague is doing the copywriting for landing pages. So she's more the short form, and I'm the long form person. We do both, but that's kind of how it's been and how we both like it.
yeah, I've got about a million questions about that, but I feel like we should like focus on like the main story first, then maybe we'll ask you more questions about that if that's all right. So tell us about your story that you mentioned about targeting bottom of funnel keywords.
Yeah. So when I was doing some of the first keyword researches that I've ever done, it became obvious that our authority, like sites authority, isn't really cut out for the big themes. So of course we created a pillar structure to our blog. So we have the reviews, and then everything else that's related to reviews is like after that, and then we have the social proof, and everything that relates to that comes after that. But it became quite obvious that it will be super hard to rank for these super competitive keywords. And we have some like HubSpot is one of our competitor in some of the keywords, so
It's a tricky one
it's
to
gonna be
beat.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of went, like I made the decision that we're gonna focus on creating how-to content and finding those keywords, because they were coming up in multiple categories. So we decided, okay, let's focus on creating how to add, for instance, Google reviews to WordPress and to Elementor, or with Elementor, and to Squarespace and that sort of thing. And then we translated these. So we didn't localize, but we translated. But because it's the same intent for these types of things, it actually works. But for many other cases, it doesn't, which I knew when we did that. We just had a person who translated, but it localized. We knew that it's not the way to go, but it's a start. So let's just focus on getting the content out there, and let's optimize it later on. So we kept on creating the bottom funnel keyword articles in English, translated them, put them out there, and then also created some like top of funnel, like what is social proof? How do you use it? Translated that into our 5 languages. And then, right when I was about to leave for my first maternity leave, because I was religiously tracking when do we get the first paid customer, because we were getting signups, we were getting a lot of signups, but they weren't converting into paid. But when was the day that I left for the maternity leave of my firstborn? That was the day when we got the first paid organic customer, and I was like,
Perfect
yes. And then I was
timing.
like, yeah, and then I was like, no, because this is where it starts. And I want to see where it goes, because this was like the goal that I was like, I had in mind that this is what we're going to do and this is how we will succeed, and we will see if the product is good enough and that sort of thing. And to this day, those articles are one of the best converting ones, and they work in other languages. So they basically worked as our proof of concept that we actually have some demand and some traction in those countries as well. And now we're starting projects on actually localizing our product to German market, to the Spanish market, Spanish speaking market, and to the French speaking market. So auto translating those articles were a very good idea. Not, I wouldn't say it was a good idea to translate every piece of content that we have on our website, but it was a choice we made. So
Was there a language that it worked best in out of those auto translates? Just out of curiosity.
well, there is difference, of course, between what platforms people use in those countries. So, for instance, Wix works in Germany because apparently it's used there a lot. And then Elementor works in another one. So that's the only difference that I've found. I speak German, so I can say that the content is like okay-ish in that language, but I have no idea if it's actually high quality content in Spanish or French, because I lack the skills. But it's an interesting it's been interesting now that we are trying to localize our those articles as well, like adding those CTAs there, because we even lacked CTAs in those languages, which is like a rookie mistake, but they converted anyways, which is crazy. And now that we are adding those CTAs, they're converting better. We have partners that we do that with, but it's when you're working at a company where everything changes really fast and you need to create results with your organic stuff, there's a lot that I've just shut my eyes. Like I don't look there. I'm like, I don't want yet because I know I don't have the
Of
time.
like one is better than perfect sort of thing. So if you'd waited until everything was perfect to do it with the
Yeah.
CPAs, with everything else like that, you wouldn't have had those like conversions. You wouldn't have had all those things. You'd have
Yeah.
missed out on a lot. So actually just being able to just have the bravery to be like, okay, we'll just put it out there, see how it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
The interesting part in all of this, for me at least, is I guess your role in the whole kind of SEO expertise and your SEO optimization journey, because like you said, you didn't actually know a lot about this, this sector or this kind of function of marketing going into it. So I'm just curious, how did you kind of start learning about SEO? What did you do to understand it? You're laughing, so I'm assuming it was a lot of trial and error as well.
Yeah, and it's still an ongoing process of trying to learn from people that are more experienced than I am, but that means that I need to be a part of Slack communities and ask questions there. And I don't like being the person who doesn't know everything. So it's a challenge. And even signing up to this podcast was like, do I actually know what I'm talking about? Like, do I have the knowledge? I kind of do. I actually had a lunch with uh, with our partner who does our paid ads, and he had a friend or a colleague of his who does like the organic side, and we had a lunch, and it was really interesting because my imposter syndrome was like, oh my god, you actually know this. Like everything they were talking, I was understanding, and I was like, yeah, I actually have an opinion on this. And then when the organic guy was like, "Oh, have you tried this and have you tried that?" And he was like, "Yeah, we did that a year ago and didn't work, and now we're actually at a different stage already." So I think he was also pretty surprised that me, with my non-marketing background, I already knew many things. So it's the learning is never ending, and as you know, with Google Core updates, everything changes again. So I think it might even be a beneficial thing to start by learning from your mistakes, because those will happen and keep on happening, and you will just need to change directions again and not feel too, I don't know, put down of the results.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an interesting point, especially in this day and age where, like you say, there's so much new stuff coming in almost every day, and it's not like if you've had 3 years or 10 years of experience in marketing, then those strategies that you've learned in those 10 years will apply at this day and age because we just live in such a different time than we did a decade ago. And actually, on that note, I did wonder if you feel that the emergence of kind of generative AI and AI generated content has impacted SEO at all.
That's a tough one. I think it has, and especially now that I VPN'd myself to the States and joined labs, it's been crazy noticing how much the, like, this isn't really, I'm not answering your question, but
All good, all good.
um, but I noticed that, for instance, our, like, how to add Google reviews to website or embed them or whatnot, the whole SERP has changed. So it's a lot of, would you like to get an AI response to this? And then you lose all the organic results, which, like,
Mm.
if you were doing good there, you might not be doing that well on the new, is it called Bard? I'm not even too sure.
Yeah, but yeah.
So I think that is a scary change, because you can't really monitor that with, like, we use SEMrush and it doesn't show the SERP in that way. So you actually need to VPN yourself to the United States to see what you, like, how your performance is and if you're showing in the AI generated response or not. So I think the way we use AI is that we try to find gaps. So we can ask, for instance, AI to analyze, like, okay, here are our competitors, what is missing. But that's like, that speeds up the process, but the actual work comes from us. So it's, I'm hoping that at some point it would be possible for search engines to, like, recognize content that is basically the same with a few changes in adjectives, but I think we're super far away from that. So sticking to creating original content will probably be your best, I don't know, best way of surviving this madhouse.
So everybody else can sound the same and you can sort of be a bit different.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the issues that we have nowadays, that everyone sounds, feels, and looks the same, because everyone is using the same tools, everyone is using the same keyword research methods. And I think that's also one reason why we actually did so well, because we took some zero volume keywords, or some that were, like, most of the keywords that we are actually doing really well in now. I had to predict that these would actually get search volume in the future, because this is a problem that we are solving. People are gonna look for this solution. And for instance, the that's just off the top of my head, I know that Google review widget, which is one of our features, its search volume has been 590 for 2 years, and now it's 760. So there is more demand on that, and those tools aren't accurate either. So it's always good to just write the content that you know is gonna be helpful, because it will start ranking
Think as a
and it will help
human
you.
rather than a robot. Sometimes I think
Yeah.
that's the way to go. But it must have been quite brave for you, though, to initially go for that strategy of low volume keywords. And I mean, did it take you a long time to get to that decision to do that? Or were you like, well, this is obvious, you know?
I think it's thanks to me being so inexperienced that I was able to be like, okay, no, this is what we're gonna do. Like easy peasy lemon squeezy, and let's just do it. And let's put our effort into this. And now we're trying to do that process again with another type of set of keywords. So targeting like low volume keywords for collecting reviews, but it's not the same. The market isn't the same in those displaying reviews and collecting reviews. So it's not. And it was funny to also notice that the same process doesn't work again because they're different. So we found one good strategy that worked. We're trying to make it like do it again. And we're like, yeah, no, it isn't really happening. So that we need to figure out something else to do and target the more competitive keywords, higher volume, and just do it better.
Well, constantly changing. It'd be boring if it was always
Yeah,
strategy. Right? No.
yeah, true.
What we had a little section that we wanted to include, which is a round of B2B marketing truth versus myth, where we give you like a bold statement and you tell us if you think that that's nonsense or whether you agree.
Okay,
Basically,
interesting. I'm very opinionated, so
good. I'll let you do this one, Gita.
Okay, amazing. I feel like we should have sound effects for this part, but alas. So our first round in this round of B2B marketing truth or myth is backlinks are dead. True or false?
oh, that's false.
Say more.
Well, I personally see a lot of value in having high quality backlinks and creating content that actually is valuable for other people. We've had some great success with creating statistics posts, which get a lot of organic backlinks, and I think that does wonders for our like whole website profile. And since having that, I think it has been easier to rank because we have outranked HubSpot, Trustpilot a few times.
Nice.
And I think it is thanks to like doing original stuff, but also getting those backlinks, because how else would Google know or other search engines that you are I don't know, trusted by others? Because that's what it's all about. It's about how trusted you are. No one is referring to your content. Is it good? But yeah, that's my take. It's false. Yeah, they're not dead.
Okay. Round two, and I feel like I already know your opinion about this, but let's just do it for the game. ChatGPT will replace you in 5 years.
No, false.
No, thank you. Yeah, I think that one's self-explanatory. But it is funny whenever you see headlines that still say that. Kind of this fear-mongering around AI, I think it's gotten a bit out of hand.
Yeah, but SEO is dead anyway, so you know, are we even alive?
This is what we'll put as the podcast kind of thumbnail. SEO is dead, says the SEO expert. Okay, and for the final round of B2B marketing truth versus myth, this question is, you don't need SEO if your content is good enough on its own.
No, false. Unfortunately, false. But keywords aren't everything, because they're just tools. Like keyword research tools are just tools. So, but no matter how exciting your whatever it is that you're writing about, how it doesn't matter how exciting the topic is, if you're failing at not putting titles there or that sort of thing, it can't. It just won't perform. No one will ever find it. So yeah.
Well, thank you for indulging me.
Anytime.
Thank you so much, Erica, for joining us today to have a chat about SEO. And thank you, Dieter, as well, for co-hosting today.
Thank you, Claire, for hosting, and thank you, Erica, from my side as well.
Thank you for having me. It was such a blast.